All right. Yesterday, I didn't do a video in the evening. I only did one in the day. Yesterday was very busy. Today is no different. I have a lot of stuff to do. But here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do two sketches this time. Well, actually, no. We're gonna do a lot of sketches. Let's do a bunch of thumbnails, and I'm gonna do them in 5 minutes total. So we'll just do thumbnails, silhouettes, and see how far we go. And let's do robot. Okay, just started the timer. 5 minutes and 5 seconds. I remember when I first started getting into this business, there was an artist named Feng Zhu. He's pretty well known on YouTube for his kind of painting and talking stuff that I seem to be doing myself, which is great. Um, and he used to do these incredible little thumbnail sketches, and they weren't on YouTube. Like you had to watch them on like video. We had like DVDs back in the day. And for those of you who are younger in the audience, and be like, "What the heck is a DVD?" And for those of you who are older in the audience that are like saying, "Wait, what do you mean? What the heck is a DVD?" Trust me, there are people that will not know what a DVD is. Um, but they were just like discs that you would put into your computer or your DVD player and just watch them on your TV or your computer. Yeah, they were the Gnomon Workshop videos, and I remember watching one of his videos that were on DVD, and I was just like, "Dang, dude, this guy's thumbnails are super sick." And so this is kind of an homage to that because it really opened my eyes to the power of just getting an idea done in a short amount of time. I've never met the guy. I've never really talked to him more than like in passing. Um, but his videos in the very beginning of my career were very, really awesome. And I think, again, like as I was doing the photo bashing and a few videos ago, I think this is also one of those kind of quote unquote lost art. Uh, a better way of thinking about this too is like, why fix something that ain't broke, you know? And thumbnailing is just such a powerful tool in almost every capacity. I've done a couple of freelance gigs recently where all I was using was thumbnail sketches for my client to help us find kind of the finality of the design, well, which is ultimately being worked on now. But it started off with like these really rough thumbnail sketches because the idea was pretty cool, but there was a lot of opportunity, and so I wanted to try to make the best with the time that I had. So I did a lot of these little sketches that really helped inspire the team to kind of think about even cooler stuff that then I worked on, and it was just super awesome. But this approach was kind of invented because of the breakneck pace of the industry, and I don't know if any of that has truly changed. I think what has happened is that a lot of junior or sorry, my throat's all yucky. I just got done eating. Um, a lot of the junior level and associate level folks, I think, are a bit spoiled. There is like a good balance that I think that occurred with artists that kind of were, for lack of a better term, raised under concept art during like the early 2000s, where we still had to like learn how to draw well. Like it wasn't like, even though we had Photoshop and we did have access to 3D tools, and but like Photoshop didn't do it for you, right? Like you still had to like be able to have color theory and understand what makes things look real. And for me, you know, learning 3D was an incredible challenge. Like it was very hard to get good at 3D. Like you literally had to make that your full time gig. And but now it's like, yeah, I mean, you can watch a couple Blender tutorials over a weekend. Like you might be able to make a little visual effects short all on your lonesome. That's crazy, and that's cool. I think that's exciting. And photo manipulating and all that kind of stuff is even easier today with the photo manipulating tools. Like things are just a little bit easier to kind of get good. But as a consequence, um, I think people aren't as serious about what it means to draw really, really well, you know, as like a base skill, like as something that you ought to be yearning for. And I think a lot of folks might assume that drawing really good takes so much time. Oh my god, I only have 10 seconds. All right, let me try to finish this thumbnail. I actually want to do more. And so I'm going to finish this one out. Okay, cool. Let's do another set. Let's do a couple more. And so because people are kind of given a lot of these different, tools that are available to them, and a lot of these different like ways to make an image, that, you know, learning how to draw feels kind of pointless. It feels like that's just a waste of time. But there's something fundamentally powerful about being able to draw well that you just can't get from these tools. Like they are hijacking your opportunity to learn, and people assume this just takes much longer to get good at that stuff. But in reality, you could probably get really good at drawing and design, like pretty good, like professionally good, like without any Photoshop and without 3D, any of these things. You could probably do it within 2 to 3 years if you kind of buckle down. All right, I'm going to start the next 5 minutes here. You know, I think if you are afraid of time wasted, I believe that you're wasting your time by essentially taking shortcuts. You know, I forget who says this, but there's this philosopher, or this, I don't know if it's a philosopher, to be honest. I might be making this up. But there was this saying that I heard where, you know, nothing is, you know, nothing of value is easy to come by. Usually a lot of the things that the vast majority of us want to accomplish or achieve, it takes a lot of effort. It's really hard to get towards. Take it from me, someone who still works a lot, regardless. And one of the things, regardless of like how successful I might appear, I still work quite a bit. And one of the things I think people don't realize is that, you know, a better way to understand your ability to grow as an artist, like a better way to think about why it's valuable to study and train in these kind of peripherals, is that if you take shortcuts, then you only know how to get to the place through the shortcut, right? Like you only know how to get there because of this. Somebody told you on Google Maps and you just followed it without paying attention. But charting your journey, charting the map, and knowing and making the map yourself allows you to not only take shortcuts, but to recognize when there's even better shortcuts, depending on the context, right? Like you'll know, oh, I can make a left here instead of right, where somebody might only know to make right turns because that's what they were told in a tutorial or from a tool that they used, you know? So when you approach art with the premise of like trying to understand what makes art look good, to understand how to draw well, to understand what makes, you know, your workflow more efficient, what makes it less efficient, how long it takes you to do art, how long it takes you to find the right types of references. If you know how to do this, you'll be able to replicate and create content relatively consistently and effectively. And if you don't, then you're always going to kind of be at arms. And whenever you're set in a professional setting, what I tend to see happen when this is the case, if you don't have enough of the skills, people tend to get more defensive because of their insecurities. Sometimes are highlighted, even if it's under a professional setting. Like, hey, you know, I think you should work on this. And it's like, well, what do you know? And then people start getting like caught up in titles even, and start to try to find ways to circumvent the conversation somewhere else because they don't want to kind of reconcile with their inabilities. I've encountered this a few times throughout my career and it's not the best. It's not the best work environment, and it feels demoralizing a lot of times too, when you're dealing with folks who can get a little too defensive when you're just giving them basic feedback. But that's what I'm saying. Like you're challenging them in a vector that they have yet to explore, to understand for themselves. And I am not immune to this either. But what tends to happen in my instance, at least the best I can remember, is that when I do find myself at a crossroad, like, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I usually will come around, especially if somebody makes a very compelling argument to convince me otherwise. And once I'm told, like, hey, maybe you should think about this, and I'm like, what do you know? And then, like, I think about it over like an hour, have some lunch. I start to realize, oh shoot, they are actually right, and I will confront them. I'll be like, hey, look, you were right, I was wrong. Because at the end of the day, I don't mind being wrong, but I do mind if people aren't trying to make compelling arguments either. And I find that when people aren't as skilled as they need to be, they become incredibly defensive. And that kind of mechanism for arguments are just tend to fall short, right? They tend to not be as strong because they're coming at it too personal, right? But if they are confident in what they're saying, they'll have a lot better rebuttals, and they'll be easier to talk to even when they are wrong and they recognize that they're wrong, and then they will be able to reconcile because they have been down this road before. They have understood that the challenges that made them the artists that they are today come from failures, come from challenges that they have overcome. And I think when you are constantly put in an environment where you're challenging yourself and overcoming something, time ran out. But let me spend a couple more seconds on this. I want to finish this. Then you're more likely to be a little bit more empathetic when other people make mistakes or other people are wrong, as long as they're capable of recognizing those challenges. And I think a lot of folks aren't nearly as skilled as they ought to be because the tools have only gotten better. And, I've talked about AI a couple times, and I don't want to belabor the point here, but AI is doing that. It's preventing people the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. This tool, allegedly, is supposed to give shortcuts, but it seems like it's only giving shortcuts. It's not giving actual directions. It's not giving us a genuine roadmap to how things are sorted. And that, I think, is a big issue, Let me put some wires on this guy. So this is about like 10 to 12 minute painting for thumbnails. Yeah, ended up being a little more philosophical than I was expecting, but I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. All right, I'm going to stop it here, though. Try to meet my quota. Try to get a second video in here. I like these speed paints, too. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy these videos, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.